Welcome to Surviving Roots, the podcast where we navigate the messy, beautiful work of healing and growth. I'm your host, Carrie Fund, and this is your space to breathe, reflect, and find strength. Whether you're breaking free from old patterns, healing from loss, or rebuilding your story one small step at a time, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, give yourself this time, and let's uncover the tools to move forward with courage. This podcast is for you. Today's guest is someone who brings both deep wisdom and lived experience to the table, and she's no stranger to surviving roots. Dr. Sherrie Campbell is a nationally recognized psychologist and a leading voice on healing from toxic family systems. With over 2 decades of clinical experience, she's helped thousands of people reclaim their worth, establish healthy boundaries, and walk away from relationships that continually cause harm, including those with their own parents. She's also a mother, a truth teller, and an unshakable advocate for those brave enough to break the cycle. And today, just in time for Mother's Day, she's back with us to talk about one of the most painful and often unspoken experiences many women face, what it means to grieve the mother you never had, whether you're a mother yourself, choosing not to be, or still learning how to mother yourself. Please welcome back to the show, Dr. Sherrie Campbell.
Thank you. I love being on your show, Carrie. You're just one of my favorites. You've been on my show. You'll be on my show again for sure. And it's really hard to find people that are just really willing and open to talk about these deep issues without wanting to justify some part of the abuse, making the victim some part of the problem or the bad one, especially around Mother's Day. Like, what do you do? I'm excited to have this conversation with you for sure. So thank you for inviting me.
Listen, I am so honored to have you back. If I could go back and tell my 14-year-old self, listen, girl, one day you're going to be chatting with Dr. Sherrie Campbell and it's all going to be okay. I wish I could go back in time and tell her, but here we are. I am so excited to jump in. I know a lot of women struggle with Mother's Day, especially if they've experienced a toxic mother, the mother wound, estrangement. So I just want to jump right in.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
So, little bug. Dr. Sherrie, for women who feel more pain around the celebration of Mother's Day, how do you define what it means to grow up with this mother hunger or wound and emotional starvation?
I think that you just feel so lonely. One question I've asked myself my entire life is the importance of a mother. I am a mother, and there are fathers, of course, but like if you see a dad teaching a son to play football, right? He's blam, he's pushing him down and he's teaching him and he's out there sweating with the kid, throwing the ball. But you see that son on camera and he goes, "Hi, Mom." There's something so endearing about the mother. We live in her body. She is our source of everything, or should be our source of everything. We are completely dependent on her. Breastfeeding, food, home shelter. If you were lucky enough to be breastfed, I was not. My mother was probably too selfish for that, has some excuse for it. But I think that the mother is who identifies us in the world, and that we come to figure out who we are through her love for us or lack of her love for us, her attention, her presence, and her care. Just biology, we expect dad to be out killing the bull and providing for the family, and we expect the mom to be doing her role. And I think that those roles are perfectly aligned and set up for the building of a whole family. So if you're left with someone who doesn't want you, who doesn't have a consistent presence for you, you become starved for her and more of her. And then I think you try harder to try and get some of that from her. And I think that wound is developed from the moment you're born all throughout the relationship, depending upon how long you keep it in your life.
Wow, that's so powerful, and that's a lot to digest. And I knew this was going to be the perfect gift for everyone listening, because we're going to take all the ugly, painful things and put it in a box, and Dr. Sherrie's going to wrap a beautiful bow full of love and wisdom, everything people truly need to hear to maybe make that click or shift. And I'm just so excited. So, we oftentimes don't choose estrangement, or we delay that or setting the boundaries because we talk about grieving this fantasy mother, like the expectations and not really wanting to just face reality of maybe who our mother truly is. What does it look like to grieve the mother that you never had?
I think for me personally, I think it's probably different for each person, but I was grieving her while looking in her face.
Yeah.
And she was there. I always wished that I could unzip her body and take out the bad mother and put in a good mother and zip her back up, because I liked how she looked. I liked how she smelled. I liked that we had the same skin and the same feet. There were certain things of hers that were mine. She was just so inconsistent. And my mother personally, I really believe she hates women.
Yeah.
So I was an annoyance to her. I was needy of her. And so I was always grieving her because she was constantly rejecting me. And so I would try harder. And that's kind of how I think I grieved during the time of being raised with her. As I got older and more identified in myself, and I had separation from her, and I went to college, and, I got more and more separate. I moved states to get away from her, actually, and to get away from the abuse, thinking that, well, if I just have like a mustard seed of a relationship with her, maybe then she'll like me and it will be more consistent because she won't see me. But a 4-day visit within 24 hours, I was like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, she is creating just a nightmare in my life. And she made my life so much harder than it needed to be emotionally, right? She controlled me financially for some period of time, and really thought that would work at the no contact, that she could starve me back with the trust. And that's dirty money to me. I walked away, but I grieve the living dead. So I recognize that she's alive, and I recognize her as my mother. I just identify her as different. I call her by her first name. I've been doing that for years. And she's now just a person and not a power. And so mothering for me comes a lot through, like, I have 5 animals. I have a child. I need to mother, and I mother me. I've learned to do that in my life. But I will always be sad that I didn't have the mom that I feel like I really deserved. And I am sad that I'll never know what it's like for a mom to be genuinely really interested in me and proud of me, and my biggest fan in my audience. Will be forever sad that I didn't get to experience that here on this lifetime, in this lifetime.
I can relate to that. I first want to just say, I love that you say that you look at her now as a person rather than a power. I think that's such an important mental shift. And it's interesting. I never thought about this until you said it, but years ago, I started calling my mother, with my brother brings her up, or my father, by her first name. It wouldn't even feel natural to say mom. I don't know when I started doing that. It's been years, but I call her by her first name. That's so interesting.
I write about it in a book because it was a boundary that I created. I mean, my mom is very cruel. Mm-hmm. She's a very cruel, very evil, sort of Disney evil type of mother. Calculated abuse, not accidental, or it's not immaturity. This is a calculated indifference toward me, and it's shown to me at all points in time, because no one is more important than her. And so when I started calling her by her name behind her back while I was in cordial contact, which, wouldn't really see her, talk to her now and again, it just settled me some. She doesn't fulfill the job title. So why am I giving her such a powerful title in my life? And another thing too, that I think is, parents aren't gods, they're guides.
Ooh, that's another good one.
I didn't have a guide. I had someone who wanted to be my God and run me, punish me, put me in servitude, obligation, guilt, owing. I did all the work in that relationship with her because she was so emotionally absent. So she was a very low effort, high conflict mother for me.
Yeah.
And calling her by her first name was a nice first demotion.
Yeah. Well, it also just, now that we're both mothers, it really shines a light on really what makes a mother and what, separating what's the title and really truly what makes a mother. And focusing on that a lot helps me with my own parenting,
Mhm.
especially sometimes
Mhm.
when I'm triggered by my own kids. And also I really relate to what you just said about, the majority, 99% of the time, I'm completely fine. I mean, this has been 15 years or so. I'm proud of who I've become and the parent that I am. But like just last week on a rainy day, I watched some new Netflix series and it's about this family who the mother dies. It's called like The Life List or something. And the mother who passed away surprises the daughter with like a year long of like CDs of recordings. And she wants her every month, the lawyers to give the daughter this video and she's to go out and like really live her life or something. And I was just like, wow, like I'll never have something like that. Like a mother who literally is looking after me even when she dies. Like she couldn't look after me in her actual life, which brings me to that whole point is like when people say, I would, which my mother has said to me, I would die for you. And it's like, but you're not living for me. But I thought, wow, what a sweet movie. But it did move me to tears because I thought, wow, my mother couldn't even like think of me while she's living. And this mother on Netflix is like, a year later, like prepared, a year worth of like just being there for her daughter because she wanted her to be comforted because she knew it would be her passing would be hard. So, yeah, I mean, I have those moments too. How could you not? You know?
It's me. It's like I I will never know what it's like to receive what I give.
Yeah.
I absolutely love watching my daughter receive it. Like my daughter set boundaries on me the other week. She's 20. She's living at home. We're doing junior college, and something kind of traumatic happened in her friend life, and I could sense that it had really. I mean, it was one of her friends had attempted suicide. So and this was an online friend, so there was no way to help. There's no way to access care. She's in a different country, and I talked to her and her friend afterward, and I gave them very specific boundaries. Like if you choose to continue in a friendship with her, I think that you need to require phone numbers of family members, and because suicide is contagious. As a psychologist, I can tell you that if a kid lives in some kind of guilt that they didn't do enough, they may commit suicide. So I talked to my daughter and her friend for quite a while, and everything's fine. I really love the little girl that did attempt, and she does have a really hard life, mother issues especially. But so she has to do a certain thing for this class. She has to get like 45 hours of observation. I'm like, she's having a hard season. So I'm just I just kind of procrastinating everywhere, kind of leaving stuff around more than normal on her phone a lot. I'm like, okay, she's in therapy. She's having a hard season. So, I thought I'll just help her out because my mom never helped me really with that type of stuff. She might supply money and tell me to go away, but so, I went online and I did a little research on some teachers she should contact. And then every day I'm like, so did you hear from anyone? Did you email? Did you hear from anyone? So she comes back from therapy and she says, I know you're trying to help, but you're making me feel like you don't believe in me. I was like, and I was like, I'm so, so sorry. That is like the last message that I'd ever want you to get because I believe in you more than anyone. I just thought you're in a hard season and I was just going to help you out a little, take some pressure off because, we got to go from junior college now to big college. I just need to get you from here to there. And you're just having a hard season. I guess maybe I came in a little type A on that one. And I sort of like, bull in a china shop, just started yeah. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. I see you.
Yeah.
I get it. Had I had that conversation with my mother, I can't even help you right. Last time I ever helped you, I would not have. And then I was like, I will not ask. I trust you. I believe in you. And then she was like, I do understand where you were coming from. Cause I'm like, you've just been on your phone a lot. I feel like you're just down and I understand why, but I hear you. She goes, we can have Friday check-ins. I'm like, yes, okay.
That's awesome.
And I said, I appreciate that. And I said, more than anything, I appreciate you telling me how you feel because I don't ever want you to feel like I don't believe in you, but I always want you to know that you can help me. And honestly, like, you didn't ask me for help. I mean, you really didn't. So that was like super cute that I took over. But the kind of mocking, degrading response I would have received, first of all, my mother never would have even tried to help, but it would have been like, oh my God, I can't do anything right for you. I guess I just can't even help you, right? I mean, it would have turned into some abuse of me. So when I left that conversation, I'm like, I was a real mom. Like,
Yeah.
and I felt so good.
Yeah.
And I felt very guilty. I had to work through some guilt that I had made her feel that way, right?
Yeah.
I made her feel that way by doing something positive, not negative, but I still made her feel that way, and I heard her, and it was okay.
Yeah.
And I learned from her, and I'm her guide, not her God. So I just backed off, and then it was a little hard for me to wait until Fridays, and I did. Don't say anything. Don't do it. Don't say anything. And of course, now she did struggle. Teachers weren't getting back to her, and now she has a little placement, and she did it, and her professor helped her. And those moments, that's motherhood.
Yeah.
And if your children feel safe enough to tell you how you feel, how they feel, and you can receive it and validate their feelings, you're doing a great job. I never had that.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And you bring up such a good point because, I know for myself, I work so hard not to be the parent I never have that I know sometimes it goes to the extreme.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I did that.
such the extreme, like, and I was crushed. I think recently, my daughter does competitive tennis. I go to all of her matches. I'm there and I'm like the sunscreen applicator, the snack maker, the mindset coach, the mom. And like 2 weeks ago, she's like, Mom, you don't have to come. I think you could just drop me off. I'm like, that's a 6-hour match. Like, you don't need me. And she's like, no, I know how to do my sunscreen. And like a couple of other moms, they never come. She's like, it's not that I don't want you to come. I love you being there, but I'd like to try doing it without you there. And it broke me, but I just smiled and I was like, you know what? And you're just reminding me of this now. Like, I am very extreme sometimes. I'm trying so hard to make sure she knows that I love her, but that's coming from my broken little child self, not like, she's a regular kid and I can be a regular mom and I don't have to go to such extreme to prove my love. I can just be there and say, I love you.
Right? I know. And it's like, my daughter hasn't had very many hard seasons, like with friends or anything. So that was like kind of a new thing for me, because when it was a hard season with her dad or watching me go through the horrific smear campaigning and breakup of my family and me needing to cut ties, this was really just her issue, right? It wasn't combined in any type of family dynamic. And I'm like, I'm just going to help her because no one helped me. And then when it landed that way, not in a mean way, but in a way that she felt like I didn't think she could do it, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're right. I didn't see it that way, but I see it. Oh, bad girl, and I have a way of just having a sick sense of humor, and I can make everything funny. And so she's like, you always make things funny, Mom. I just really love that about you. And I'm like, I know, it's just kind of a bull in a china shop. I know. Don't worry.
So
that's how I got to where I am.
Wait, the estrangement with your mother, your daughter was already born?
My daughter was 11. My daughter got used as a pawn by my mother, or my mother tried to do that.
And since the estrangement started, has your mom tried to re-enter your life? Like I always hear stories where like, I have set boundaries with my mom and then we haven't really spoken, but then I got pregnant or I was getting married and then the toxic mom tries to make their way back in. And it's that struggle of, but my mom should be there. Like what kind of advice do you have for people listening? Like when it's those, my mom should be there, life-changing moments or those tender moments, like how do you navigate the boundaries and like what the idea you think it'll be, but versus the reality of who you're actually dealing with?
For me, to answer your question, my mom would reach out on my daughter's birthday. For 5 years, she did this, and Christmas. So not Mother's Day and not my birthday, just my daughter's birthday and Christmas were the two token days that she thought about us so that she could probably look good to her public image. But the gifts that she sent were evil. They were broken with no receipt to return it. So it was all designed to break my no contact. Then she manipulated me financially with a trust that I just chose to walk away from. It was really for my daughter. My grandmother wanted to pay for my daughter's education, and my mom robbed my daughter of that. So she thought she'd rob my daughter and get me back in because I wouldn't want my daughter robbed. I'll pay for college myself, thank you. But history had always shown me that she ruined every event. She made my wedding a nightmare. My PhD graduation was a nightmare. And I might want her there, but I stopped needing her to be there because I was in this for 45 years, y'all. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I was a slow or fast learner, but I was there for, just a long time. I tried to keep a shoestring or just even a mustard seed of an attachment to her.
Mm-hmm.
My history with her is it just always ended up being a huge, dramatic, all out gang up warfare on me. So I didn't have any other major events for her to be a part of because I've not been married. But those gifts, I ended up having to stop them because of a gift that she sent out to my daughter on her 16th birthday, which was now she got cryptic to her.
Interesting.
She tried to develop a relationship with my ex-husband behind my back to see my daughter without my permission. Like, it was so ugly for me. In a way, I think that made it easier for me. I think some moms might be a little more covert for other listeners that they might be hearing this and be like, well, my mom doesn't do any of that. But if she, by history, sort of ruins every event
Yeah.
in some manner, or the event that should be about you becomes about her, then
Yeah.
I think you really have to consider how many more of those you want ruined.
That's a really good point. I didn't invite my mother to my wedding. My estrangement probably occurred about 3 years prior to when I got engaged. But like it's history, people, like my grandmother's birthdays, funerals, any kind of family gathering or celebration, or even a funeral. It was always about my mother. She would throw tantrums during those events. She would lock
Yes.
herself in bathrooms and threaten this. She would even when her siblings were going and dying through cancer, it was still about her. So, I mean, I just sort of learned from history eventually that, okay, I'm this wedding, it's all about me. But I almost think of toxic mothers as terrorists because, when
Mhm.
bad things happen in the world with terrorism, you think, God, how did they pull that off? And you realize this is all that they do is to think about
Right, that
how to.
calculated abuse. When I think about emotional terrorism, because I love that saying as well. And I'm not minimizing anyone that had a really abusive, toxic father because I did as well. He
Yeah.
beat me and he was crazy. I don't know why they get away with it a little more easily. Maybe they're more common, but a mother just inherently who had this baby in her body should not be capable of that.
Yeah.
That relationship, when you're living in her cells and her energy and her DNA, should not be capable of doing that. And they are so known to specifically ruin all events, funerals, birthdays, holidays, because they have to be at the center of attention. And I have a theory that I think really narcissistic mothers hate their daughters. I think they hate women
Yeah.
in general. And I think that the way that mothers abuse is far more sneaky. Like if you look at Disney, show me one Disney movie that has an evil stepdad or dad.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be one, but I sure know about Cinderella. I know about
Mm.
Belle. I know about Snow White. I know about the prick the finger lady. I know about all those
Yeah.
people. And there's
Yeah.
always an evil stepmother who was Snow White. She's too pretty, or they ruin. They're just out there trying to ruin the
Yeah.
daughter for whatever reason. And I have lots of men that have horrifically toxic mothers. And they miss their mothers very much in similar ways to women because I think children need mothers. Children,
Yeah.
right? So why do they say hi, mom, when mom wasn't out there teaching them football? I mean, I might have
Mhm.
been, but mom typically isn't, right? I think the mother has an almost indescribable level of importance to children. She is their safe space. When I was going through my PhD, we studied a lot about the infant and the breast metaphorically being a transitional mom and tendrils of safety around a child. And, my mom was too selfish to breastfeed. So she probably propped a bottle up under a pillow for all I know. I mean, I'm making that up because I don't know, but that is the kind of treatment I got. I mean, CPS was called on me for neglect when I was 2. So I think that no one can be more important in this world than the terrorist mother.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, how does someone protect their peace with Mother's Day coming up next month? The day's coming up, whether they're estranged or they're, have a toxic mom in their life and they are not respecting the boundaries or don't even know how to set the boundaries. What is your advice for people who are dreading this day coming up soon?
So if they are in cordial or some kind of contact, or there could be calls, right? And you feel like you have to take those calls. I would show up later to an event. I would keep yourself busy. I'd leave a little early. I would try not to let your body be alone with their body. I would try to have conversations that are sort of in a group. If you need to exit because you're going to be facing some alone time, I try to get to the bathroom or do some dishes in the sink. If you're not doing that, if you're out, usually there'll be more than one person. I would sit a great distance from wherever your mom is. And I would just gray rock if you have to be in person. If you are estranged and you're fully estranged and it's either new or you're used to it, what I do in the morning is I wake up every day in the morning on Mother's Day and I say my mother's name out loud and I say, I release blank to her highest good, whatever that may be. I just release her today. I'm going to let this be my day. So I'm going to wake up and the first thing I do is I release that woman to her highest good, whatever that may be. But I release her from me, from my energy today to her highest good, whatever that may be. And that for some reason really helps me. And then I will go and look in the mirror, and I do this every Mother's Day, and I look at myself and I say, I love you so much and I appreciate all that you are.
Dr. Sherrie, I love that.
So I release her, I look at me, and I tell me, I love you so much and I appreciate you for all that you are. And then the rest of the day is about my daughter because she makes me a mommy, right?
Yeah.
And my birthday and Mother's Day are very close, and my birthday and Easter are always very close. And so on those days, I just release her, and I do this a lot in other different ways. Like I'm in perimenopause and like I'm foreign to my body and I don't know who it is anymore. And I have a whole other personality that I've named Many for menopause. You know what I mean? So I've got Many. I'm getting to know her. She's kind of bitchy. And I warned my boyfriend I haven't sat deeply with her. She's a shifty little thing. If I ever catch her, I'll let you know and I'll let you know how to deal with her. But I would love to have a woman that has my genetics that I could talk to about it. And so there's these stages and ages of life where I'm still doing it alone and going to other women and doctors and, I'm microdosing peptides and I'm doing all this stuff. And, but I don't have her. And so on those days, I just release her again. I'm like, I just release that woman to her highest good, but I release her from my body and from my energy because all the answers I need about menopause, they're going to come and I'm going to find they're just not going to be from her. So I just release her. So if I feel that my energy is calling toward her energy, the fantasy mom that I would love to have, I even just release the fantasy mom. I just release all of who she represents from me to her highest good. I don't want anything bad for my mom. I think she's, I'm glad I'm not her, but I do need to release her. And so I do those little things when I need to. And Mother's Day, I do the I love you in the mirror every year.
I love that. I think there's something, whether you write it down or say it out loud, there's just something so powerful about that rather than just thinking it. Like it's just a release, like you're you're saying it out loud. And I think that's super powerful. I think
look at me because, I'm a big writer and a big journaler.
You've written a couple books.
7 of them.
Just a little.
I really like, because whenever I'm looking in a mirror, I'm not looking inside of me. I'm looking at me, and I'm focused on my hair or my makeup or whatever, but I'm not really seeing Sherrie the person. I'm not even paying attention to who I am in the mirror. I'm like, just be cute and leave the house. You got to get to work, right? But on Mother's Day, I want to see me because she never did. And she didn't
Yeah.
want to. So I want to see me, and I want to tell me what she should have told me my whole fucking life.
Yeah.
Is that I love you and I really appreciate all that you are.
That's beautiful. And
I
I
cry every
think,
time I do it. Every year I cry a little bit because I'm like, wow, I was intense to look myself in my own eyes
yeah.
and say that.
And what do those tears mean? Does that mean I've always wondered about this? Like sometimes when I get emotional when I'm writing something, whether it's for a book or Instagram or a podcast, like what do those tears mean? Do they mean that you're still in pain? Do they mean that you're just remembering something that hurt you? What does it mean when you still get emotional?
I think it means depth. And I
Yeah.
think it means identifying with something in you that you're missing that you've now just supplied yourself. I think there's somewhat of even a happiness. Like the other day, I was bawling my eyes out on TikTok because they showed this video of all these different dogs loving their own owners. And like, I don't know if that's many, but I was like, that kind of love is so pure. And I'm crying just over the gratefulness of being able to see something so pure that I must be able to feel now if I can weep over it. And I
Yeah.
see it as such a win. And is there loss in there? I would imagine that there is loss because it's not maybe something I've ever been given. Like
Mhm.
when you watch a dog love their owner or wake them up, or like I have a little soul dog. I've got 3 dogs, but one is like my little soul dog. And I'm so grateful for her unconditional love. And I love to mother, and she's a baby right now. And I was like, I want to eat her tummy. And, that love is so pure, and that I can feel it makes me so happy because I had to do a little bit of, at first, my mom was like right here,
Mhm.
and I had to learn to work her around my brain. And now she's kind of settled back here. And every
Yeah.
now and again, like on Mother's Day, for example, she might pop forward. I'm like, oh, I release her.
Yeah.
She'll always be background noise.
Yeah.
She's a fundamental part of who I am and who I've become in spite of her. And so I don't hate her. I have a love for her, but I don't like her. In fact, I can't
Hmm.
stand her. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't have any sense of revenge. There's loss, but more in terms of like relief. So when I see that really pure love, I must be able to feel that if I can weep over it.
Yeah. I love that. I can relate to that. It's interesting. I guess maybe I'm just so focused now on being a mother to my own children. She just doesn't really register in my life anymore unless you have those moments. But sometimes, my heart does break for people who are not mothers, whether they choose to be or they haven't become one yet. What would be your advice for them? Because I feel like my own kids distract me, like they make me a mother. I focus on me being
Huh?
the mother. But this whole thing about chosen family, because like what you said, like I can tell just from your social media, you're such an animal lover. So what do you suggest for people who are not mothers yet or don't plan to be mothers?
Farm.
Navigate. Yeah, get a farm. Dr. Sherry says get a farm.
Farm. I'm obsessed with donkeys. Oh, my
Oh my
boyfriend
gosh,
took me to see
videos.
he took me to see donkeys last year
Oh
for
my God,
Mother's Day.
I love
He
it.
took me to see donkeys. You don't understand. I made out with them. Their ears. I love donkeys. But if you don't love animals, or you love plants, or you love the garden,
Yeah.
I think as women, we are very natural nurturers, even if maybe you don't know that. I also, another passion of mine where I think mothering myself comes in is movement is medicine for me.
Yeah.
So I like to trail run far more than I like to street run. And right now we had a lot of rain this year, so it's not all brown yet in California. I run at a place called Peters Canyon and it is so green and so beautiful. And I make sure I have sunglasses off so I can take it in and I feel like Mother Earth and the dirt and my dog and the trees and the view is insane. And I mean, this earth is a mother, right? I think that Mother Earth is another way, movement, getting outside, oxygen, buy a farm. I mean, come on. There's
Yeah.
so many ways to nurture you. It could be a garden for someone else. It could be cooking for someone else, right? And we all have a thing or many things. But I think that what do mothers do is they do for us. They should live for us. So do for you and live for you. You
I
know,
love
not in the same way that your selfish, narcissistic mother did. So how do you differentiate that? Is you living for yourself causing other people harm? Or is you doing for yourself, teaching other people self-care?
love that.
Right?
Yeah. We really do become the choices that we make. And if we want to be better, we just have to do better. So I really love that. Before we wrap up, I just would like for you to repeat exactly, like everyone listening, this Mother's Day, we're all going to do it collectively. I want you to tell us what we're going to say to ourselves when we're looking in the mirror.
Okay,
I'm
so
going to be
write
quiet.
this down.
So
First, in the morning, wake up, and I actually put my mom in my hand. And I close my eyes and I say, I release her name to her highest good today, away from me, whatever that may be, and I toss it.
Mhm.
Then I go to the mirror and I say, I love you so much and appreciate you for all that you are. And then I start my day with my daughter. In our episode together on my show, we talked about the power of choice.
Mhm.
And one thing you said that really stood out to me is when your first heartbreak, and you said parents, but let's use mother today. When your first heartbreak is your mother, I don't know that there is a bigger heartbreak. So if you have survived this and you're thriving and you're really working to understand it, you're reading, you're journaling, you're moving your body, you're grounding, you have a grounding mat, whatever you're doing, you're taking care of yourself nutritionally, you're doing whatever. We will always need a mother. I mother myself when I'm going, and I choose to look at it that way now. Instead of I'm running errands or I'm going to the doctor, no, I'm taking little Sherrie to the doctor, or many. You know, I have a twin now. There you go. And we're going to go figure out what the fuck is going on. And paying attention to your body and breathing and just connecting with you.
Yeah.
Everyone's mother is going to die at some point. Ours are the living dead, and they're here on planet Earth and they're living, but they aren't alive in terms of there's an active dynamic relationship. Grieving the living dead is a different kind of grief, but you can still release. And so try to work the toxic mom from here and just work her back in your brain. And then she can be background noise. You can't get rid of her. And it is not about getting rid of her. I will always live and learn from her background noise, always.
Mm-hmm.
She is a steady presence in my life because she's in my mind. And I learn from that steady presence, and it creates some great books and some great healing techniques, social media posts. And so I think that's just part of how I've chosen to pass this mom class that I was given in this lifetime, because we are a product of our choices. And that is something that you said on my show that really struck home to me, is that we are a product of our choices. And so you can choose whatever. If you need to cry it out for a minute on Mother's Day before you release her, or at any time during that process, do it. But whatever you need to do, let it be light. Let it release from you. Toss it up. Give it away.
Yeah. I love that. That is so beautiful what you just said, and so powerful. And, you know, one thing that I've learned from just making choices and knowing that I have the power to make choices is that, and I wish I would have learned a lot earlier in life, but we are so fucking powerful. Like, I don't know why we give things so much power outside of us, but like when we really recognize it, it's just a choice away. Like, we are so fucking powerful. To carry that suffering, to carry that wound and let it stay open, like, the life I feel like you dream of, the parent you want to be, the woman you want to be, it's literally just a choice away. And it's just having the courage to make that fucking choice. I don't know.
That's
This is
right.
why I love speaking with you.
For 45 years, I tried every PowerPoint, every tone of voice, every different time of day to audition for this woman's love and acceptance. For 45 years, I don't regret that time because I know for sure that it's time to shut my mouth and use my feet.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. And nor do I feel like she doesn't exist. It's not black and white. She lives in the background of my life. Sometimes she comes to the frontal brain. I just move her right back.
Yeah.
But I learn something every time that I do that. And each time that I go through any type of learning with her, I'm just more and more sure about my decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people think like no contact means they don't exist. And it's this sort of mean ignoring game. And I don't experience my no contact like that at all. I believe my mother is completely relieved.
Yeah.
Because I was too powerful of a mirror to her dysfunction. And people have asked me, how do you think she feels about your books? I think she loves them.
That's amazing. I mean, honestly,
I don't think she reads them, but I think she loves them. I think she can really jump into her Oscar-worthy winning performance of this mean, awful daughter that she has that is so cruel. That's how she's choosing to pass this class or to fail this class, because she has a soul contract on this one too.
Yeah.
I really want to pass and I really want to get good grades. And I want to come out a better, more loving human being. I don't want to be bitter. I want to be better. And that isn't how she chooses to go through the class. I don't get to tell her how to take her class. I tried for 45 years to tell her. So I just accept her for who she is instead of needing her to be different. I sometimes might want her to be.
Yeah.
But I don't need her to be anymore. And
Yeah.
that is liberating.
That's the prize right there, is that you don't need her to be. I want to thank you. That's my little alarm going off because I know your precious time and you're a very busy woman. I am so honored to have you on today. I can't wait. I was thinking, everyone's like, what are you going to talk about for Mother's Day and stuff like that? I was like, you know what? I'm not going to talk. I'm going to share more Dr. Sherrie.
Look at my girl. Yeah.
You are a straight shooter. And I mean, you are the definition of a cycle breaker. And we need to come up with a term for you because you're beyond cycle breaker. Please think of something that we can call you. It is an honor and a pleasure. And I know this episode will resonate with so many people, especially on that day that can be so hard for many of us. So thank you.
Too. Thank you so much. I do a lot of releasing work because, and I do it physically with my hand because I just feel that energy and I just want it away from me. When she gets here, I need to put her here, and it really does work for me. I don't know that it will work for everyone, but I will always share what works for me. And maybe you guys, if it doesn't work, there's something other creatively that you can do. You can write her a letter and burn it, whatever that may be. We have a right to our voices. We have a right to live in our truths, and we have a real right to release anything that drags us down. So power on, love yourself, truly and wholly. And I think then your life changes.
Dr. Sherrie, you heard it from Dr. Sherrie Campbell yourself, guys. I'm wishing you all a very happy Mother's Day. Dr. Sherrie, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Mwah. Love you. Love you all.
Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Surviving Roots. I hope it gave you something meaningful to carry with you. Let's keep this conversation going. Find me on Instagram at carrie.fund, where I'll share more from the show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs it. And remember, we are the choices that we make.